If you've missed any of the earlier episodes of the Great Tastes series and want to see the shows and get all the recipes, go to greattastesmb.ca. Watch them when you want to watch them.
Hey there, Great Tastes of Manitoba, and we are doing Southern-style chicken today, and we have Karen Armstrong with us. We've already put away our extra crispy chicken.
That's right.
Very good. And now we're kind of moving with the cornbread. We're bringing that into this recipe as well. And I'm kind of a breakfast for supper, supper for breakfast kind of girl. And so that's why I'm really excited about these, because you can eat them anytime.
Exactly, and they're portable. So,
perfect. Yeah,
when you're on the go, this is a great recipe to do.
Awesome.
So this is a traditional or a typical muffin method that we're going to use, but we're going to switch it up a little bit with some of our ingredients that are not typically found in muffins.
Right.
So we're going to start with buttermilk.
We've got the buttermilk bag, which is great, because it's like sometimes you have like this, we use buttermilk in the first recipe, and you got the whole thing sitting in the back of the fridge, and what am I going to do with it? Well, here's what we're doing.
Here's another way to use it, or freeze it.
You can freeze buttermilk?
You can freeze it, and that way you've always got buttermilk on hand for the next time you want to do this recipe.
Awesome.
So I'm going to give you your weapon, should you choose to accept. All right, so to our buttermilk, we're going to add some melted butter and honey. If you've got liquid honey, just put it right in with the buttermilk, but I just had hard honey, so I melted it along with the butter. So that's going in there.
Clever, Karen.
All right.
Okay.
Well, it's always ways to sort of find hacks in the kitchen.
You make it shorter,
exactly.
Lighten your steps.
And let's get a couple of eggs in here.
Countryside Farms Vita Eggs, delish.
And local. It's always great to support local.
Absolutely.
All right, so I'll get you to give that a really good whisk. Oh, and you know what? We need to add some sugar to that. So I've got just some regular white sugar.
That's why I love any, like with cornbread, muffins, or anything. It's that little bit of sweet. You've got the honey, you've got the sugar, so
that's right.
I kind of like the sweet. It's good.
Yep. All right, so really get that egg beaten up. Yeah, just get it.
I'm I'm a messy cook, and I'm really trying not to be, because we're on television, and I can see that that's just not gonna happen.
Perfect.
So, okay, good.
Okay,
all right.
That's great. All right, so you can leave that in there if you want. Okay, let's talk about dry ingredients. So regular white flour. I'm going to add some cornmeal. Again, we're sort of on a cornmeal and buttermilk theme here, but that's very southern. And I've got some baking soda, some salt, and some cayenne pepper. So let's get that in there.
So I guess you can kind of adjust, like if you want it really with a lot of kick, you can add a little more of that cayenne,
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, do you want to give that a stir together?
I do.
All right, and you can just be...
Now when you talk about muffin method, you don't want to overmix any of this, so we're going to add all this wet and dry together.
Particularly when it comes time to add your wet to your dry ingredients, you don't want to overmix. That's perfect. Okay, so let's make a well in the middle there. And I'm just going to pour the wet ingredients.
Where cooking is like playing, right? This is where the fun comes in.
Artistic merit.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm trying.
Okay.
How's that? Is that a well? I've dug a well. Okay.
You dug a well. All right, so let's get that in there, and I'll get your spatula and just mix that together, but you want it to still be lumpy.
Okay, so why is that?
If you go too far and you get it smooth, you're taking all the air out, and it's going to be tough. Okay, and so there's nothing worse than a tough muffin.
Right. That's true. My mother used to tell me that all the time. You got to watch out for those tough muffins. So it's sort of about keeping it a little bit of more of a lighter kind of texture to the muffin, right? So is that already getting to be overmixed?
So you want to make sure, no, that's actually looking good. Dig right down to the bottom and make sure that there's no, that's perfect. You don't want that
chunk of flour at the bottom, right? Okay.
Okay, now, the next ingredient is where we kind of go off the muffin, the regular muffin path. Okay. I've got Manitoba ground chicken. And I've cooked it up and let it cool, because if you put it in hot, you're going to cook your egg, and that you don't want to go there. So one thing with the ground chicken, when you're cooking it, you really want to work with your spatula or a fork if you've got, to try and get the little pieces of ground chicken as small as you can. So nice and fine.
No big lumps.
So that you don't want huge big lumps in the muffins.
Okay,
so nice and fine.
Do I add that in?
Now, there's a couple of other things in there. There is some cumin and some Cajun spice. So again, we're building on those layers of seasonings. We had the cayenne, we've got the Cajun spice. All right, so plunk that in there, the whole thing. That's a pound of ground chicken that I've cooked up. You can do this ahead of time. And it's always, if this is a recipe that you're going to make on a regular basis, I like to, do a couple of pounds of ground chicken, stick it in a resealable bag, put it in the freezer, and then it just speeds up the whole process of making muffins.
Okay, awesome.
You don't have to worry about that step. Okay, what else are we putting in here? We've got, again, building on some heat, some jalapeno pepper.
Grown right here in Manitoba. I have to be honest, I didn't even realize that Peak of the Market produced jalapeno peppers. Love that they're local. That's
so
fantastic.
We've got more local, and again, we're also building on local. So this is some aged cheddar.
Bothwell.
Yep.
Love the
All
Bothwell.
right, so you're really going to need to get in and fold that in.
Oh.
Yes.
I'm
glad you have the same problem I do.
Don't see, look at the
I can't keep things in bowls either, so
you need a huge bowl.
there we go. I think you're just about ready. You're good.
Okay.
All right, so grab your spoon.
Yep.
There we go. I'll take that.
Okay.
Teamwork here. Okay, and we're gonna fill the muffin tins. I've used some nonstick spray in here.
Okay.
And
Now you
there
want to
go.
fill it, you were saying it like fairly close to the top.
Yep.
Maybe not overflowing like I'm doing, Harris. Don't do what I'm doing.
That's okay. You want to fill them as much as you can, but as you say, not overflowing.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to sneak behind you, and we're going to top each of the muffins with a little slice of jalapeno.
Nice, a little garnish. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we have our chicken and jalapeno cornbread muffins, all about the Southern cooking today. I'm super jazzed to see what Ben Rush comes back with in terms of food pairing. So make sure that you join us here in a couple minutes. Great Taste of Manitoba.
You're watching Great Tastes of Manitoba, brought to you in part by Manitoba Agriculture, Food and Rural Development,